Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. This is Kay back at it with a new video. The title of this video is titled, It's Not Worth Going to Jail. Let's talk about it. I don't know if you remember the Scared Straight videos is when they would take kids that was getting into trouble to jails to kind of give them an idea of what it's like, if they get caught up and go to jail, what they would be dealing with. They would select a group of inmates to intimidate them, to scare them, to let them know you don't want to come in here. This is what we gonna do to you. And growing up as a kid, when I used to see those videos and TV shows, I was scared straight. But today's kids aren't so scared straight, at least some of them. Some of them are still frightened, the younger ones, but the older ones is like, hey man, I'm looking forward to getting up in here. But that's for another video. This video isn't about people that's in jail or people that's finna go to jail. It's not about that. This is just what I'm thinking about, giving up your freedom when you go to jail. Yes, there's a lot of innocent people wind up in jail. We know that. You can just be in the wrong place at the wrong time and they say, hey, that's him right there. And you wind up going to jail. So, it can happen to anybody, anytime. No one's immune to it. But, I guess, if it's like a petty infraction, or like intoxication, using drugs, domestic violence, trespassing, driving without a license. In most cases, you can wind up in jail for probably about a day or two to 30 to 90 days, depending on the circumstances of it. And what about the legal fees? Most people can't afford to bail themselves out of jail. And I think in Cook County now, what they did was they got away from the bail process. So you don't have to so much worry about that. But if it's a serious crime, you might have to get an attorney. And I can tell you, attorneys, they're gonna look at your finances, and in most cases, they're gonna milk that. They're gonna milk it for all they can get, So, is it worth going to jail? No. And then what about the serious crimes? If you get caught up, and then most instances, from what I saw, that before you go to trial, it takes about 2 years. So unless you got somebody to bail you out, which everybody's out here struggling, people don't have that type of money, you're gonna sit until your court day shows up. And then you got the defense attorneys for the state and the county. Well, they just want a plea bargain, so you might wind up getting some time because they got a stack of people they dealing with, and they don't have time to give you the service of a private attorney. So that's something to consider. And then what about your job? How do you explain to your job that you might be going away? I don't think that job is going to hold your job for you. And then what about your house, your car, your pet, your everyday life? It all ends depending on how much time you get. Most people, if they're gone for 3 months to 6 months, that can upend them right there. Because they say the average person don't even have $500 in an emergency situation. So if you go to jail for a month to 3 months to 6 months to a year, you pretty much done lost everything, because no one's gonna hold it for you unless you got good family that'll get all your stuff and put it in storage for you and pay for it, or pay your bills why are you incarcerated? But then let's talk about being incarcerated. You know, I was looking at this one documentary that this guy was in a cell the size of my bathroom, and I got a really small bathroom. I think it's 5 by 6 or 5 by 7, but it's small. And you got the two bunk beds, you got a small toilet, and then you got a sink. So can you imagine, and I don't want to imagine this, being in a cell with someone like that for 18 to 19 hours a day? You know, you would drive yourself crazy. Y'all would drive each other crazy, and that's why a lot of fights break out in them small cells because, you know, there is no breathing room. And the guy said he was attacked by his cellie because he passed gas. Now, everybody passes gas. You know, I mean, I've seen women hold it in to be polite, but eventually that air is coming out. And so when the guy passed gas, his cellie attacked him and told him, don't you ever pass gas in here again. So how do you do that? You know, he wound up going to another cell, but still, then he had to keep that little place clean. You know, he constantly wiping off the sink and the toilet, and you got to do all these things. Who want to be bothered with that? You know, I mean, we have so much privilege out here. You know, you get up in the morning, you can go outside, get a breath of fresh air, you know, use the bathroom in privacy, and you don't have to worry about some dude attacking you. And then what about the dorms? That's even worse. I don't know which is worse because the dorms, you just got rows and rows and rows of bunk beds, and you only got like X amount of toilets, and I guess one is for Caucasian, one is for blacks, and the other one is for Hispanics, you know, and maybe you got one for others. But still, you know, everything is out in the open. You know, there is no privacy. And who wants to be around a bunch of men day in, day out, or a bunch of women day in, day out? And the guards are telling you when to sleep, when to get up, when to go out for recess, and then you're locked back up again. You know, I mean, it's just it's a bad situation. You know, and we have people out there that, you know, they don't have a problem with it. You know, they just go in there like it's nothing. But, you know, but then you have other people that's not used to that environment. You know, it could be a problem, you know, because, you know, if you ain't used to being around gangbangers and people that's trying to intimidate, people that's taking your money or your commissaries or making you call home to get money to pay them, you know, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's something that I would hope and pray I never have to deal with. You know, because, you know, freedom, you don't appreciate it until it's gone. When freedom is gone, you know right away that you fucked up. You know, and then, you know, what about starting over? You know, how do you deal with that? You know, now you know, even when you get out, you know, now you gotta start your life all over again. You gotta rebuild, literally. Now, yeah, you probably see some of these rappers, they get out and they become famous and super rich and all that, but that's just a really small number of people. The average person get out, you know, now you got a record that's gonna follow you like your shadow, you know, and then you gotta try to convince an employer to hire you, you know, and it, depending on what the crime is, it might be impossible. for them to trust you like that. If you rob the bank, well, I don't think that somebody dealing with money would probably give you that type of opportunity or anything related to it. And then you got your housing prospect. You probably don't have a job and no money, so now you got to figure that part out. And then hopefully, your family is there for you, but in most instances, they're struggling too. So they really can't be a big help to you. And then what if you're on parole? So, the slightest infraction can have you back in the joint. One thing that I forgot to touch on was the food in jails and prisons. It's not the best. It's like crappy food. And you gotta deal with that. You gotta hope and pray that somebody's willing to drive 4 and 6 hours to come visit you. And at minimum, write you. Or be willing to accept your phone call when you want to talk to somebody. Because believe it or not, life goes on. When you get locked up, yeah, people gonna be crying and all that in some instances. And as time go on, the visits get shorter, the letters get less and less, and people don't have money for a phone call or commissaries, on a regular basis. So these are all the things, and I forgot the sexual assaults, someone assaulting you or even raping you. These are all the things that you got to deal with when you're in jail. You got to deal with the gangs, the robbers, the rapists. All these things that you have to deal with on a regular daily basis. Whereas that when you out here, you can just live a life. Yeah, we got our problems out here, but it's not like those problems. So that's just my take on it's not worth going to jail. Press like if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in my next one. Take care, guys.